Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on our very first evening version of ChooseDays. ChooseDays was selected to inspire you, to motivate you, to help you feel like you can pick yourself up by the bootstraps and move on after a life-changing transition like the one that most of us have been through, which is divorce. If you haven't been through divorce, that's okay too, because tonight is all about how to open your heart again and to find love again. So what I wanted to do is give you a little bit of background about me and then tell you why we're all here and what we're going to learn. So my name is Vicki Townsend. I'm the founder of theCafeD, and I created theCafeD to create a space that wasn't there for me when I went through it. I wanted to find a space that had answers to all of the questions that I had in my head. Not just how to get a divorce, but what does it feel like, and how do I handle the accounting and my tax issues? And then the outside of that was all of the emotional stuff, the anger, the hate, the bitterness, the mistrust, the numbness. I don't know if anybody else out there has felt that numbness that I felt, and I felt it for several years. My goal with the CafeD is to help you go through it in a kinder and gentler manner so that we can save you your time, your money, and most of all, your sanity, because that would have so helped me to have all of these programs. So ChooseDay is about getting you up and getting rid of that fog, shaking some of it off from time to time so that you can again. So the idea behind ChooseDays is to help you feel good about yourself, your situation, and the future that you have. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen tonight. We've got an amazing two guests tonight, my first time with two, so this is going to be really exciting. And so afterwards, we're going to hold your questions and answers, and we're actually going to go back to our very private Facebook group. That's available to our members, and membership starts just at $7. We've made it very, very, very easy for you and very simple. So what you do is there should be a link right there in our webinar chat box where you can actually, after this is over, go really quickly, join up. It's really, really fast, and you can join us back in our private Facebook group after this webinar is over. And then what you'll do is you'll be able to watch this again and again and again so that you can actually take, if you missed something, if you think that, you want to pick up something again. And of course, if you wanted to touch base with our guests tonight, and they are some very special friends, Gladys, Diaz, and Roza. They are also known as the Love Twins, and they are certified dating and relationship coaches and the co-founders of Heart's Desire International. Through their unique and introspective approach to attracting love and creating intimacy in relationships, Gladys and Michelle inspire and empower women around the world with the skills that have them go from being lonely singles, struggling girlfriends, and unsatisfied wives to women who enjoy their birthright to be loved, cherished, and adored every single day of their lives. Their own experiences of heartbreaks, Michelle as a divorced single mom and Gladys as a widow, and attracting and creating new and extraordinary love have enabled them to relate to women who have experienced heartache and want to experience love again but are frightened, unsure, and unwilling to settle for less than extraordinary relationships. They are passionate about working with women and seeing the transformation that takes place when they remove the fears and the barriers that have been blocking them from having loving, fulfilling relationships so that they are able to attract, create, and nurture the relationships their hearts truly desire. So you can also learn more about Gladys and Michelle and their work that they do through Heart's Desire International, and we'll put their website in our chat box at www.heartsdesireintl for international.com. So welcome, Michelle and Gladys. I am so excited about tonight. Thank you both for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited.
Thank you for the invitation. We've been looking forward to this for a long time, and you and I have been talking about this for a very long time, so we're just thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much. You know, this is so important, and it's important, and you know, everybody that's out there, please do what I do, which is grab a pen, grab some paper, and start taking some notes. Because, first of all, every time I do these things, I learn something new. But tonight, in particular, is something that something that I've kind of struggled with, and that's trust and trusting my own self. Right, to not screw it up again and make bad choices again, and also to trust my you know, to kind of like, I feel like I have to like maybe take a little hammer and a chisel to kind of chisel away at some of the hard places that I have and I still have. So I'm anxious tonight to hear how you're going to walk us down this path. And so I will let you guys take it away. And if at any time you have any questions to me, just ask away, because I know you guys have something really very, very special prepared. So please have at it and take us down that road to finding our heart's desire.
With pleasure. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so everybody can see the slides that we have for them. And absolutely, we always invite people to make sure you have something to write with. We're going to try to make this as interactive as possible, because we want you to pull this toward yourself and have it be meaningful for you. Okay, so we don't want you to just sit there passively. Really make tonight the night for you. Okay, so let's just see if this, tell me when you see my screen.
We see it. Perfect. Yay.
Okay. So ladies, we want to just say hello and thank you, and we're so excited to join you tonight, and we're thrilled because Michelle and I know that the next 40 minutes is going to be an experience that has the potential to change your life, especially your love life, forever. And we know that there are several things that you could have been doing tonight. For instance, you could have been watching TV, watching somebody else's pretend love life on TV, and instead you're here. And that tells us a few things about you. First of all, it tells us that you value yourself and you value your time. And it also lets us know that your love life is a priority to you and that you are a priority to you. And it also tells us that you are at a point right now where you're ready to let go of the past so that you can move forward towards a new future that includes an extraordinary love, new and extraordinary love, because we don't want you to settle for anything less. So for all of these things, and for having the courage and the commitment that it takes to be the kind of woman that shows up, we want to honor you and acknowledge you, and we promise to make this time of value for you. So let's start with tonight's intention. And the intention of tonight's webinar is to provide you with the access to break free from your past relationships and to create an opening for new and extraordinary love to enter your life. Michelle?
I think I'm hearing that Michelle might be having some challenges with her microphone.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll continue. And Michelle, you know we're twins. You just jump in, honey, when you're back. So in this webinar, what you're going to discover is what makes it difficult to move beyond the heartache of divorce, and the steps that you can take to move beyond your heartache and toward a new future. And then we're going to talk about how to begin attracting new love into your life now. So you don't have to wait, and it doesn't have to be a long process. And for some of you, you may have been waiting for a while. And for some of you, this process may be relatively new. What we're talking about is not about getting in a relationship tomorrow. It's about how to begin attracting what it is that you want into your life starting now. So just to give you a little tiny bit about us, we are Gladys and Michelle, and we are known as the Love Twins, and we are certified dating and relationship coaches and co-owners of Heart's Desire International. And there's a reason why our company's name is Heart's Desires. It's because we really are committed, as Vicky said when she was sharing our bio with you, we really are committed to helping women create the life and the love that their hearts desire. And in our company, at Heart's Desire, we really do believe that it is every single woman's birthright to be cherished and adored every single day of her life. And we're committed to providing you and women around the world with the resources and the support that empower you to create and manifest the relationship of your dreams. What we're best known for is our unique approach to coaching, which helps guide you through introspection. So it's not a lot of telling. It's really having you go within, look within, and discover your ahas for yourself, and so that you can create real breakthroughs in your life. And what this does is it enables you to see clearly who you are. It has you release yourself from the past, including all of those fears that may be holding you back, and allows you to discover and access the skills that lead to attracting and experiencing the love and the relationship you deserve. And that is both our passion and our purpose, and we are thrilled to share that with you. Just going to do a quick check-in to see if we can hear Michelle. Nope. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about my story with my honey. So Rick and I met in 2009, and it was almost a year after my late husband passed away. And I was in a point when my first husband first passed away. I was at a point in my life where I really believed that I was going to be alone, that I was not ever going to be loved that way again, because in my mind, that was my once in a lifetime, and it had come and gone at 27, and that sucked, and it was painful. And I really had to do my work, the work that we teach, particularly in our Ready to Love Again program. I had to do the inner work to get beyond the fears of not being loved again. And I had to really begin to trust and open my heart again, because even though it wasn't a divorce, what it was that I saw, everything I had planned for died when my husband died. And when I met Rick, I really, I pride myself, Vicky, in being a very smart and intelligent woman. And I'm so glad I was wrong. This is the one time that I'm super, super glad I was wrong, because what I learned was that in opening my heart again, I was able to fall in love and just rediscover love in a completely new way, and have that experience of loving and being loved every single day. And we got married a year after we met. 3 years later, we had my first little boy, Nicholas, which is in the picture there, the cruise picture. And then right before my second son was born, 3.5 years later, my sister asked me to be a married mentor for a group of singles that she was going to be working with. And I was horrified and honored at the same time. And the reason I say that is I was honored that she saw in my marriage something that she wanted to share, and in me something that she wanted me to share. But I was also horrified because I knew that at that point in my marriage, the spark in our marriage had died. The thing that made us wasn't there anymore. And so because I'm a person who really believes that you have to practice what you teach every day, I started practicing in my marriage the things that we were teaching the singles, and I started dating my husband again, and we transformed our marriage. And really using the courses that I took and the books that I was reading and just all the personal development, I was really able to re-experience love. And it's why Michelle and I teach that it's not just about attracting someone into your life. Having a lifelong love story is about really keeping that love alive, because it's got to be more than just attracting someone. Then it's about, okay, how do we keep this spark alive? So that's what we teach. And thanks to the skills that I now teach, I have the privilege of being able to live in the relationship of my dreams. We've been married 16 years, and I always say I don't want to be the only one at this party, which is why, and Michelle either, it's why we've committed our lives to helping women experience the love that they've always wanted.
Can I ask you a really quick question about how you felt after your husband passed away, and you knew that that was the love of your life, and you knew that love was never going to find you again, and you went through all of those things. Were you numb after that? What was going through your head at that time?
Well, it's funny because we're actually going to go through those stages as part of this of the presentation. But I know exactly what you're pointing to. There's these stages that you go through, and one of them is the numbness. And there was a lot of denial. And we're going to talk about each of those stages because one of the things, Vicki, and you and I were talking a couple days ago that we want to share with the women is that the heartache that they're experiencing is real. And whatever stage you're at, it's okay. You're not going crazy, but this isn't also the predictor of what's possible for you in the future. You actually can experience love again, and not just any type of love, but the love that you really, truly want to have in your life.
Perfect. Okay. Wait, I'm anxious to hear about these stages.
Okay, I'm just checking, really quickly. I don't want to keep talking if Michelle's able to talk, so I keep pausing. I'm not sure what's happening. So I can share a little bit about Michelle's story. Because Michelle's story really, a lot of you will relate to Michelle's story. Michelle and Arnie, who I think are, after me, of course, are the cutest couple in the world. They met in 2005, 4 years after Michelle had been divorced from her first husband. And Michelle had been married very young. She was 17 years old when she got married, and 12 and a half years later, she found herself in a really painful place, a place that she'd never been before. She was 30 years old and a single mother of 2 young boys, and she'd never really dated before. You don't do a whole lot of dating, right, when you get married at 17. So when she found herself divorced, she found herself really in a whole new world called dating. And after 4.5 years of unsuccessful dating and being in what she calls micro pseudo relationships, she was ready to give up on ever having the love that she dreamed of having. And that's where her personal journey began. And she began uncovering what it was as it was stopping her from attracting and having that kind of love in her life. And she really started doing the inner work that I was talking about before that we teach. And what she started seeing, she just started to unravel all of the barriers, the limiting beliefs, the fears, and the dysfunctional patterns that she'd created. And she began falling in love with herself.
Gladys, can you hear me?
Yes, honey, I can. Yay.
Hallelujah. Okay, so thank you for starting my story out so beautifully. And
I could have just pretended to be you because our voices are so much alike, but go ahead.
That is true. That is true.
You guys are identical twins, not only in your looks, but in your voices too. So even our audience will probably have some challenges telling who's talking. So now it's Michelle.
Well, thank you so much, Gladys, for starting off the story and for stepping in here. I think that the thing that I'd like to share the most is that when I did fall in love with myself, that's when everything shifted for me. It was this experience that I've never known myself that way, and we're going to walk through that today. And I learned how to date again. Well, date for the first time because I never knew how to date before, and began having a lot of fun doing it. I began attracting these amazing men into my life, and eventually attracted the love of my life, Arnie. And we dated for 4 years before we were married, and we've been married now for 4.5 of the happiest years of my life. And I really am living my dream come true, and that's why we share this work with everyone, because we want everyone to experience that as well. So it is my personal love journey that inspired us to begin to train other women on how they can go through whatever they go through, whatever heartbreak they go through, and then be able to work through that and attract the love and relationship they have always dreamed of into their life.
I love hearing your story. I can hear it 100,000 times. So what we want to remind, and this time we're talking to you. And when I say you, is whoever's listening right now. Tonight is not any ordinary night. It's an extraordinary night. And it's the first step. If you choose to, it can be the first step in a new beginning for you. And I want you to know that Michelle and I, we created this webinar with an incredible amount of love, specifically and especially for you. And what we want to invite you to do is we want you to relate to what we're saying, like we're speaking only to you. Forget that there are maybe tens or hundreds of women listening to this, or that somebody might listen to the recording tomorrow, the next day. This is for you, sitting right where you are at this very moment. Okay? So as you listen, there's a really particular way that we invite you to listen. We invite you to take everything that we say and actively pull it towards yourself and see how it applies to your own life. Make it real for yourself and have tonight be the beginning of your transformational journey as you become ready to love again.
And we want to start off by saying that we know, and heartbreak hurts. And when a marriage or a relationship ends, regardless of the reason of who was the person who initiated the breakup, there really is a sense of loss and pain that's associated with it. And we all refer to this pain as heartbreak. We may refer to it as heartache because it literally does feel like your heart is breaking. So following a divorce, it can feel like you are riding an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you're angry, the next minute you're sad or anxious, and then in the very next minute you might even feel a sense of momentary relief. And the reason why this happens is because grief is a very personal process. You won't meet two people who move through the different phases of and emotional states of a heartbreak in the same order or even in the same time frame. So Gladys, Vicky was asking you how it was for you when you first lost Andy, and if you can just share a little bit about that here, and I know we're going to share more about it.
Absolutely. So, I often, when I'm working with women, whether it's because they had a breakup or a divorce or widowed, I talk about there's that moment that I think every woman has gone through when you've had this type of heartache of having a relationship end, where for me, what I felt like was like every dream, every plan, every hope, every vision that I had for the future, it died when my husband died, because my vision for the future included him. And as we work with divorced women, we hear that, it's like, what now? Like everything, whether there were children or not in the relationship, there's this pain, so it's the what's now. So it doesn't matter, like for me, I didn't have children with my first husband, and it was still the what now? What do I do? Everything died. And it's so similar, right, to divorce, because at that moment, I don't think any of us goes into being married anticipating that it's going to end. We have these dreams that the love that we feel at that moment when we're standing at the altar or in front of the judge or wherever we are, that moment, that love is going to be that strong forever. So it's very painful when the reality hits that it's not, and the relationship is over. And I think that, in that way, there is that grief that happens. Like Michelle said, whether it doesn't even matter who initiated the divorce, who wants it, there is a grieving process that we go through, because we are grieving the loss of that relationship that we hoped for and that we began with so much anticipation and excitement. And, no one will ever know exactly what your heartache and what your heartbreak feels like to you. Okay? But there are some common symptoms of grief that you experience when you're in the midst of a breakup. And we've captured the most common ones. They're not listed in any particular order, but we did want to go through them so that, again, pull this information towards you and see where you relate to what we're going to share with you. So the first stage is denial. This can't be happening, right? And it's a defense mechanism that exists to prevent you from feeling the pain that you're actually experiencing. In some extreme cases involving divorces and breakups, individuals may refuse to believe that the relationship is over. And it could cause the woman to obsess about the relationship and about the ex. And you know, for me, when Andy, that was the name of my first husband, passed away, there was that I just couldn't believe it was happening. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to believe it. And you know, similar to when you're preparing, right, to become divorced, you know, the doctors had told us there was nothing else that they could do, and I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. So denial is one of those phases. So if you, wherever you are, because I know that we have women in all different stages of this, just know that that part of the process is very natural to feel that way.
And then another common symptom is getting into this mode where you ask yourself, why is this happening to me? And one of the reasons why this happens is because, and this is something that Gladys and I have studied a lot and we really find fascinating, and it makes a big difference for people, so we want to share it with you tonight. There are connections in your brain that connect emotional and physical pain, and those connections are very real. So when a person experiences a loss, whether it's the death of someone or a divorce or a breakup, there are changes in the brain's blood flow that occur in a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for regulating physical pain and distress. And what happens is when you're feeling emotional pain, it registers pain the way it would like if you stubbed your toe or you hit your finger or you caught your finger in a door. And the why is this happening to me is because you feel this pain. And I remember for me, I literally felt, there were moments where I felt like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't believe that after 12.5 years of marriage and 2 children and trying everything, we had tried retreats, we had tried marriage counseling, we had done so much that at the end it ended, you know, it did end in an infidelity, and it was with someone that was in my distant family. So it was very close to home, and I just could not believe that this was happening to me. It was so public and it was so painful, and what was I going to tell my kids? And that whole sense of denial that Gladys was talking about comes into it. But then there's the confusion of why is this happening at all? This is not what I planned for. So that's something very common that you will go through in a heartbreak.
Another common one is anger. You know, how can this be happening after everything we've been through? And usually this follows the denial stage of heartbreak. It's another defense mechanism that's designed to stop the feelings of love and loss from being experienced. So staying in that state of anger for too long, because it's natural to be upset about what's happening. So we don't want you to deny those feelings, but staying in that state of anger for too long, it's dangerous because it begins to chip at the essence of who you are. And it replaces it with cynicism and sarcasm, resentment and resignation. And, you know, I shared with you a little bit before about that resignation, that I was pretty much resigned, that I was going to be alone for the rest of my life. I was never going to love or be loved again. But there were also moments of extreme anger that it wasn't fair and that, you know, I don't deserve this. So this is one of the other stages or symptoms of heartbreak that's really real, and some of you may find yourself in right now.
Mm-hmm. And then another common one is isolation, where we go into this mode of I don't need him, I don't need you, I don't need anybody, and we tend to pull away from the people in our lives. We don't want to talk about it for many reasons. Sometimes it's embarrassing to talk about, like in my case. Other times it's just every time we talk about it, we feel that wave of emotion coming up again, so we'd rather not discuss it. And also we don't want to be around other people if they're happy, because it reminds us so much of what we've lost in our own sadness.
And the next symptom is feeling completely out of control and not being able to control how the person that you love, right, especially if you're not the one who wanted the divorce, not being able to control how they feel for you or how they think. It can really be maddening. It could just be a maddening experience. And some people, what they'll do, because they can't control what's happening or they feel out of control with what's happening in the relationship, they'll turn to things that they feel they can control. Okay, so they'll either turn to or away from food or alcohol or work, or they'll throw themselves into the work, or they'll throw their lives into their children in order to experience some sense of control. It's not uncommon at all for people to go through either a lot of weight gain or weight loss, right? They either lose a lot of weight or they gain a lot of weight. And what can also happen is trying to control others, especially men, in future relationships. And that's a recipe for disaster for a whole other ChooseDay. But it can be, you know, when you're feeling that loss of control, then you try to grasp at the things that help you feel like you have a little semblance of control in your life.
Yeah, and then the last symptom we're going to talk about tonight is the one we hear a lot, which is I'm stuck. How can I move forward? So staying stuck in the muck of the heartbreak can happen when a person is unable to disconnect themselves from the thoughts and emotional state that they're in. And so that requires a lot of introspection. And also we hear from women, it's like, I feel like I'm trying to move forward. I really want a new relationship. But every time I start dating somebody, I end up getting into the same pattern over and over again. And I cannot find someone, or I'm not attracting men who are available. I'm not attracting men who want a commitment. So that's part of the stuckness too, not recognizing what some of those patterns that are causing the very thing that you don't want to show up in your dating and relationship life.
Michelle, did we lose you again? So,
no, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
There actually is a science of people who in psychology who are studying heartbreak, and in recent years, neuroscience specifically has been able to confirm what many have believed to be true before, and that is that heartache, that pain that you feel when your heart's broken, is real. There's been research done at the University of Michigan where they have found that social rejection, and in this case, one type of social rejection is romantic breakup, those parts of the brain that involve physical pain also get triggered when there's an emotional pain. So according to that research and research that's been done by the Mayo Clinic, there's a lot of stress-induced, what they call cardiomyopathy happening, which they now call broken heart syndrome. And we're sharing this with you because sometimes people feel like this, you know, some people may even say, you just got to get over it, you just got to, you know, move forward. And this is a real condition where in the case of cardiomyopathy, the person experiences this sudden chest pain, and they almost feel, and not almost, they really believe they're having a heart attack, and that's because the heart is temporarily enlarging in response to this huge surge of stress hormone that's being released into the body.
And can I ask you, this is awesome. I have to tell you, I would think everything that you've said tonight, this makes the people, and give me an amen in the chat box if this is you, because I think that there's a lot of people that have felt like this and have felt crazy because of it. They didn't feel like anybody believed them, because I know now what you're talking about. I've never understood this before because I felt that physical pain. I just like had this elephant sitting on my chest, and I felt like I couldn't explain it to anybody else. And now you're giving me the proof that I'm not crazy. You gave me the proof that my body and my brain were just acting on my behalf, right? They were understanding what I was going through and treated it as physical pain, even though it was pain that other people could never see. So
Exactly.
this is awesome. I'm sorry. So go ahead.
I know, it's great, and we're getting some amens in the chat room, by the way. So
are there amens?
I don't know.
Yeah, right? Yes.
And this is the part that's fascinating, because in one of the studies that we've researched, we saw it was a study done in Columbia University. They did a study on 40 people who felt intensely rejected. They were heartbroken, and they were told to look at photos, right, including photos of their friends, and they were directed to think positive thoughts about them. And then they were showed photos of their exes, and they were directed to think about the breakup. And so these same participants underwent brain scans as they felt the pain of an actual hot cup of coffee being held against their forearm. And what the study found was that in those brain scans, several of the same areas of the brain that lit up when they felt that physical pain of the hot coffee cup lit up when they were thinking about their exes.
Wow.
Okay? So what this all, I get chills every single time I say that because
I know now. I get it. I feel if the people on here, if you guys are feeling that this is freeing, give us a yes, because this, I wish you could see it. I really do have goosebumps here. There's my, you have given me a pass or something that said, yes, you're right. You aren't crazy. You did experience that, and it was real. It wasn't just in your head. It was real. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we want you to remember this when we start talking in a few minutes about fears, okay? Because what this all points to is that your brain is simply not wired to differentiate between actual physical pain and social pain. It can't tell the difference in the same way that it can't tell the difference between something that's actually happening and an imagined fear that you have, that you think something's going to happen. Oh, he's going to cheat on me. Your brain believes it. The same areas of your brain light up because your brain's not wired to distinguish between what's actually happening and what you're experiencing in your thoughts.
And that's so important for all of us to get, because we're going to be focusing on this throughout the remainder of the webinar, and that's why Gladys is saying she wants you to keep thinking about it, because we want you to know that we recognize that the pain that you're experiencing, just like Vicky said, the one that she's experienced, is real for you, and it has made it difficult for you to let go. And it could be that that's why a lot of us feel stuck and unable to move forward. So now we're going to talk about how do we move forward. But first we got to get, where are we right now?
Exactly.
So Glad, can you...
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to show them.
That's all right. You got so into it, you forgot to...
I forgot to click. Sorry. All right.
All right, so we're going to do a quick little quiz. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because we have something else we're going to give you at the end. But are you ready to find love again? So in just a few seconds, we're going to be displaying some questions that are going to help you to determine just that. So if you have, like Vicky said, get something to write with, get a clean sheet of paper, and while you're responding to these questions, nobody else is going to see this except for you, so it's really important that you be as honest with yourself as possible. It takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to be 100% straight with yourself. And in our experience, what we found is that most people who stay in an undesirable situation do so because they're unable or unwilling to deal with the truth. So we're going to invite you to deal with your truth tonight, knowing that there are no right answers, there are no wrong answers, there are only your answers. And so in order to make a real change, you have to be able to deal with your real self. No one's here to judge you. That includes you. You cannot judge yourself either. So we're going to ask you 10 questions if you want to go ahead and number your papers from 1 through 10.
Okay, so the first question we want you to answer is, how long ago did the marriage end? And if you're still in the process of divorce, you or it's just starting for you, can just put, how long since divorce has been in the picture.
Next question is, how often do you find yourself thinking about your ex? Is it 5 times a day? Is it once per week? Is it only when you see things that remind you of him? Do you never think of him?
Can I ask you a question? Because for me, that was a lot of it wasn't about missing him. A lot of it was about anger and that whole side of it. Is that what is there a difference? I don't know. Is there a difference? I don't know.
Anytime we're talking here, how often do you find yourself thinking about him? If you think about the past, you think about what was great, you think about what was terrible, what he should have done, he didn't do, all of that.
How wrong he is.
Okay.
Okay. The next question is, have you dated anyone else since the marriage ended?
Do you find yourself comparing other men to your ex?
Then that could be in good ways and bad ways. Which of the words below best describes the feeling that comes to mind when you do think about your ex-husband? So is it love? Is it anger? Regret? Or indifference?
When you think about your ex being with someone else, what feeling arises? Anguish, sadness, nostalgia, peace?
Here's another question for you in terms of, you know, what sometimes you have to deal with your ex because of child issues. Is that different? Are we just talking about the relationship part of that? I hate to get
you're always a slide ahead of us.
Oh. Okay.
No, but that's a good point, because especially for those of you who have children, here is the reality, right? Because we coach women who are divorced, and we teach them getting divorced. We teach them relationship skills, because especially if you have children, you will always be connected to this human being. There will be birthdays and graduations and weddings and baptisms and, you know, bar mitzvahs and all of that. And so it's such a great question. So when you think about it, you might have a combination of feelings that come up when you think about him. But the next question, you know, which is, do you stay in contact with your husband? What we mean is, do you stay in contact with him outside of the necessary contact with him? Because if you have children, it's probably, you know, it depends on how things ended and how you guys are. You may be trying to have an amicable relationship for the sake of the children. So some of the answers here: is it an ex with benefits relationship, right? Do you speak to each other every once in a while? You know, is he in another relationship and that would feel awkward to you, so you don't, you know, you never stay in contact with him, or you only stay in contact with him because of the children? What's true for you?
Next question is, do you still hope that you will reconcile with your ex?
Do you still have pictures of your ex-husband displayed in your home or office?
And then the last question is, if your ex-husband were to ask you back today, what would you say?
Okay. So look over your answers, and we're just going to give you a quick overview because there's still a lot that we want to share with you. So as you look over your answers, think about which of these, we have like four phases, I guess you could call them. Where do you fall? Okay, so are you still stuck in the past? Okay, if you're still stuck in the past, you're finding that you've not been able to move past the heartache and the heartbreak of your last relationship, of your marriage. You still feel attached to him or to the relationship, and you find it very hard to imagine that you'll ever love anyone else again, or that anyone will ever love you again, and you feel like you can't let go.
You also might be stuck somewhere in the middle, where you still have strong feelings towards your ex, and you have accepted that the relationship has come to an end, but you find yourself hoping for or dreaming about a reconciliation or reunion. In your heart, you know it's time to move on. You're just not sure how you're going to do it, and you feel that if you do, you may lose all hope of getting back together.
The next phase or stage is, you know, are you just a few steps away from moving on? Okay, so you have broken the ties between yourself and your marriage, and you realize that the relationship is over, and you fully accepted that, okay? Even though you're afraid that your heart will be broken again, you believe that with the right tools, that you'll be ready to take the first step towards being in another relationship.
And then are you ready to find love again? You know, you feel that you're ready and you're willing to love again. You're ready to let go of the pain. You're ready to do the work that's going to get you through this. And you're ready to forgive and receive the lessons that are going to help you to move forward. In your heart, you believe that it is possible for you to fall in love again, and nothing's going to stop you from receiving the love that you desire and deserve. And this slide is just a reminder that sometimes we go through painful things and it feels like the end has come, and sometimes we just feel like we cannot go on. But we want you to know that wherever you are in the process, depending on your answers, it absolutely is possible for you to move forward. And one of the lessons that I learned in my own journey was so counterintuitive that I almost missed it. And I just want to share it with you guys really quickly. You know, I had spent 5 years dating on and off people. I thought I was in a relationship. I wasn't in a relationship. I was the only one in a relationship with all the people I was dating. And, you know, I got to the point where I finally met somebody after I started doing a lot of the work that we do in our programs now. And I met this great guy, and we were connected, we were attracted to each other, there was so much chemistry, we both had this incredible desire to make a difference in the world, and we had a lot of great things going on between us, except that I was ready to be in a committed relationship and he wasn't. And it was very heartbreaking for me to go through that, and went through all the symptoms that we talked about earlier, because I was so sure that this was the right guy for me. And one of my coaches gave me the best advice that I've never forgotten, and I've shared it with so many women. And what she told me was that I needed to give myself permission to be sad about it and grieve about it and move through it at my own pace. And I did that, and I grieved it just like I would grieve any, you know, like I did grieve my divorce. And then there was one day that I was crying and I was just praying, and I asked God to please stop the pain, and I asked him to give me the strength to stop loving. It happened to be Arnie, who I'm talking about, to help me to stop loving him so that I could move on. And as I was crying, I can only explain this as an experience, and I get chills every time I say this, because I felt this wave of peace come over me when I heard the thought in my head that said, give yourself permission to keep loving him and move on. And in that moment, I realized I didn't have to stop loving him. I didn't have to hate him. I didn't have to turn into something it wasn't. I didn't have to make it anything at all. I could just love him and love myself and just move on with that. And, you know, at first I was like, can I really love him and love someone else? Can I really move on? And then I remembered that I love my 2 sisters, and I love my 2 sons, and I love my 2 best friends. So why couldn't I love 2 people? And that was the first step that I took, being able to move forward, giving myself permission to love. And we're inviting you guys, if you're in that space, to do that tonight as well.
Oh, that was wonderful. I love what you just said. Be sad about it, grieve about it, and move at your own pace.
Yep.
That is amazing advice. And because sometimes I think that, you know, we all go through this differently, at different paces, at different times, and with different weights of emotion. You know, some people might get through this like it's water off a duck's back. And others might feel like, you know, like I felt just that total betrayal of, and that blindsidedness. And that really took me a long time to just kind of wake up and shake it off. And it wasn't, I wanted it to go faster. I really did. But I think with this advice, which is move at your own pace, give us permission to say, this is your heartache, heartbreak, and you will move on when you are ready. But at the same time, what I'm hoping that everybody's doing here is doing the work. I looked back at some of these answers, and some of the answers I want to change. I want to work on some of these answers and say, it's, one of my answers was anger. When I think of my ex, I think of anger. And that's the emotion that comes up for me. And you know what? At the end of the day, I really want anger to come up. I really want peace. And what I need to learn to do is to really just send him love and let him go. And Wayne Dyer was on Oprah the other night. It was a rerun after he passed away, on the day after his passing. He had said. He had given, maybe it wasn't even him, now that it was Marianne Williamson actually, gave Oprah some advice on when she ran up against somebody that had really done her wrong. And Marianne Williamson said, for 30 days, pray for that person. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, it changes all sorts of things. And so going through it and giving us permission to say we're going through it at our own pace. But what I would respectfully ask everybody to do is to at least be moving forward and taking those baby steps. So girls, how can everybody get in touch with you? We are going to go, I wanted to remind, some people got on a little bit after we started, and welcome to ChooseDay, our very first Tuesday at night. And we are going to take right after this is over, we sign up, we're going to go over to our very private Facebook group page where we have experts just like Michelle and Gladys. They're going to be with us tonight for a little while back in our private Facebook group. But back in our private Facebook group, you're going to find not only amazing relationship experts like Gladys and Michelle, but you're going to find attorneys and accountants, child psychologists, marriage and family counselors. There's real estate people back there, insurance people, inspiration and motivational speakers, life coaches, health and wellness coaches. All of those people are waiting for you in our very private Facebook group. All we have to have you do is just join. There should be a button on our chat box here for you to click and join us. It'll take you just a couple of minutes to fill it out. Join us. It's $7 a month. There is nothing that's $7. It's a couple of cups of coffee from Starbucks. And get access to some amazing experts. I have gathered some of the most amazing people in my tribe and here to help you. And so I'm hoping that you will join us. We're going to head over there. Michelle and Gladys, do you have anything else? Can you put up maybe a slide? Do you have a slide with some contact information at the end of that?
Yes, we do, and we have something special for you. I'm going to be 100% transparent that we didn't get to the parts of, that we wanted to talk about really what your first steps are. So definitely join us over on the Facebook page, because we don't just want to leave you in the space of the past. We want to help you to take those steps that Michelle was talking about so that you are actually moving forward and that you're actually able to let go of the past and begin to take the steps towards honoring the fact that you are absolutely 100% worthy of loving and being loved, and that you do not have to stay stuck. Okay? Your past divorce is not the predictor of your future. So here are your next steps, because we have something really, really special for you. What we want you to do is, if you're interested in discovering what the right next steps are for you, I know we just asked you a few general questions, but what we're doing for you tonight, just because you showed up or you're listening to the recording, because we know some people are listening to recording, is we want you to go ahead and go to the website that you see on your screen, which is it's our website, heartsdesireintl.com, which they just put in the chat box, /findloveagain. When you do that, okay, we're going, after you, it's a quiz. It's called Are You Ready to Find Love Again quiz, okay? When you take that, what we're going to do when you submit your quiz is we will reach out to you and we will schedule a private love breakthrough session, which is actually $175 value, but we're going to gift it to you tonight for being here, for being part of Vicky's community, because we love and believe in Vicky and her mission, what she is out to do. So once you complete the survey, we'll reach out to you, we'll schedule a private love breakthrough session, and then I'm trying to get to the next thing so you see what your next step is. And then we're going to give you specific, personalized, it's one-on-one private coaching based on what you submitted in your quiz, what your next steps are, so that you can feel empowered in moving forward. Okay, and for the first 10 women who do that, who submit so you take your quiz, you schedule your call, and you show up for your call, we're also going to give you a $100 Heart's Desire cash card, which means you can use that towards purchasing, going to one of our events or purchasing a program. You can use it towards that. So the first 10 women who do that are going to be able to take advantage, get another gift on top of your Love Breakthrough session. Okay, so go to heartsdesireintl.com/findloveagain, and we will.
I know we've been talking about a lot of women. But we have some men on the line, and you work with men as well, correct?
We only work with women, but we do have a male coach who we refer men to, who happens to be Michelle's husband, who's also a certified relationship coach. Okay, so the men will not be left out. Men, we hope that you were able to relate to this, because really grief is grief, and what we've learned, Vicky, from working when we go to events, there's always men in the crowd. They're our biggest fans because they really believe in what we're doing, but they want real love just as much as women do. They want to have that lifetime partnership too. All right, so ladies, go be one of the first 10, okay? Take your quiz, and we'll schedule a Love Breakthrough session with you, and we really are just so thankful that we had this opportunity to be with all of you, and we just want you to know that you can tell your past, you can thank your past for the lessons, and you can tell your future that you're ready. And we are just so honored that we got to spend this time with you, and we look forward to speaking to all of you.
Oh, I can't wait. So we're going to say good night, and we're going to tell everybody, if we could one more time put the website up for hopping on to our membership, and hopefully we will see a lot of you over on our Facebook page to talk about how to actually ask away. I'm not even going to tell you what to ask. You guys will have your own questions. So we will see you right now on our Facebook page. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you, Michelle. It was awesome. You validated so much for me tonight, and I appreciate it. We'll see you on Facebook.
Bye.